as announced yesterday, there is this audience poll, and the voting sheets will be handed over to the mentors. So they'll have to collect the voting sheets, and but after all the debates are through, the same needs to be handed over to us. And we would inform you about the results probably by end of the day before when the debate ends. And the trophy and the cash prize would be awarded on the finals. That's the phase of the. Okay, call number 3.
Namaste everyone, this is Tharuni.
And I am Safwan.
We are proudly representing Young Scholars Academy, and we are strongly for the stance charity statement. Charity is a form of self-advertisement.
Good morning to one and all present here. I, Hadi, and my partner Rakshit from Lawrence High School stand firmly against the statement charity is a form of self-advertisement.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aman Ishwati, and I'm from 10th grade in Legacy School, Bangalore. It is an absolute honor to be here, to be invited to the third round of this prestigious debate. I look forward to contributing meaningfully to today's discourse.
I am Samir. I am also at 10th grade in Legacy School, Bangalore, and I am here to speak firmly against the statement. Charity is a form of firmly for the statement. Charity is a form of self-advertising.
I quote Richard Dawkins, "He who gives while boasting gives not at all." Unquote. Let's start by understanding the statement. Charity means offering assets such as money, clothes, and shelter to those in need. But in today's brand-focused world, charity has become more about brand promotions and self-advertisement rather than the act of kindness or passion.
Charity nowadays thrives in cameras, not in compassion.
Why do you think the reliance of charity boosts during the months of March to May? It's simple. It's because it coincides with the start of IPL season, which brings in lot of promotion and also their product launches around the same time.
People nowadays are advertising their charitable work too, and the charitable work is less compared to the videos and photos they post overall.
It's not only reliance we are talking about. I'll take it over next now.
How dare you shame humanity's brightest actions? If a man saves a starving child, and if a woman builds a shelter for abuse victim survivors, how dare you call that self-advertisement? If we as a society start to view empathy as ego, then the problem is with us, not with charity. In 2023, $550 billion was donated to charity, and 65% of it was donated by individuals, not by corporations. These are teachers, mothers, students with scholarships that are giving their money for charity. Now, let me give you an example. Sonu Sood saved countless lives during COVID-19. Is it because he wanted publicity? No, he did it because no one else would. And when someone finally does the right thing, do we really have the right to label it down? Go to the next one.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. We haven't even considered what it means to self-advertise first. In my opinion, it is quite simple. Self-advertising is an act which allows you to portray yourself to society as good, just, noble, and various different positive traits. And what better way is there to make yourself feel good and to do good for other people than there is to charity? Charity, especially when done visibly, is a method for people to signal to the world that I am a good person. I care about other people. But there is nothing inherently wrong about that. We all here want to be seen and felt as good. That is an inherent human desire in each and every one of our hearts. So we should not condemn people who want to self-advertise through charity. It is not an evil, it is deeply good. And that is what we aim to prove throughout this debate. Over to you.
I I guess we must understand that when the promotion of the brand name is more than the charity given itself, it's about visibility and not about the impact. Let's make this clear, guys. And also, let's talk about the famous celebrities, shall we? Famous celebrities use charity to hide their scandals and controversies. Let's take the example of the Bollywood actors. They usually donate to the foundations like Being Human Foundations or any other foundations right after their court cases. This is just to hide their controversies in the media eye.
A study by CSR, Corporate Social Responsibility, stated that charities are legally mandated, not voluntary generosity. And let's understand the motto of modern charity. It is, if it wasn't recorded, it never happened.
Let's talk about the events, fundraising events like Met Gala. Met Gala has now become more about fashion rather than fundraising. I'll take it over next.
So Team A's primary point is modern charity. Now let's talk about the ancient times. In Islamic culture, zakat, in Hinduism, dana, and in Christianity, charity is one of the three theological virtues. Long before modern media existed, charity was still a core value of society. What do Steve A and C have to say about this? Moreover, if I save a drowning man while the cameras are on, did I still save his life? Yes, I did. Now, there's a clear line of distinction between intention and impact. And not only intention is not important, it is important, but the impact is so much more important. If a billionaire donates 100 crore rupees towards a flood relief, and yes, his name does get published in the papers, so what? The money still helps thousands of people. You can't help the people to sit around and wait for a perfectly anonymous messiah to come and save their lives while they are dying. They will accept help from anyone who is willing to give.
Let me explain this with an example. When your house is burning on fire, do you really care who's calling the fire department, or you just want to be saved? Over to the next team.
According to 2022 report, 84% of Fortune 500 companies donate, and 91% of them publicize this. Why? Because 76% of consumers say that when a company donates to charity, they have more trust in them. And trust leads to loyalty, and loyalty builds profits. Even on an individual level, people use charity as a method to grow and maintain their organization. Celebrities like Akshay Kumar, for example, publicize the donations during crises, like his 25 crore rupee donation to PM Care during COVID-19. Such donations also help him build his personal brand, help him.
What we intend to say here is that while yes, charity is a form of self-advertising, let us not be uncharitable towards those doing charity. It is true that doing charity may raise your public stature, but that's not a bad thing. Back to teaming.
Okay, let's talk about Bhagavad Gita itself. According to Bhagavad Gita, what truly matters in the karma is the intention behind the karma, and the action behind the intention is what truly matters. And the intention behind the charity is self-advertisement, and that is what we're emphasizing on here.
We know that charity improves reputation. What happens in India during elections, everyone? We know it, right? Election, parties and all, donate stuff, money and all. And let me ask you a question. Why do donators write their names or anything, even on the smallest things?
Like tube lights, let me give you an example of tube lights. They write their names over the tube lights so that they can be under the limelight, guys. And often the charity among the social circle, high social circle, is seen as a status building trait. They give charity to build their status and keep themselves high. And according to a report by University of Michigan, it shows that over the next one.
Okay, so the statement given to us is charity is a form of self-advertisement. Both A and C teams are talking about modern charity. What about the past? Team A mentioned Hinduism. Before modern media existed, Hinduism, there's a principle called dana, where people contributed to society without expecting anything in return or any form of recognition from modern media, which didn't even exist at the time. Moreover, only those who have never been starved, only those who have never lost a loved one to cancer, only those who have never been homeless have the audacity to say that charity is just a show. If tell that to a tribal kid whose education is being funded by a stranger, tell that to an acid attack survivor who now runs a cafe because someone funded her surgery. Both team A and C mentioned about charity in elections, in business polls, etc. But what about a child giving his food to a homeless person? What label do you put on that child? Narcissistic, arrogant, egoistic, or
Let us take the example of a small-time working professional who donates to, say, a food bank once a month. She doesn't advertise this fact openly, maybe, but it's mentioned on her LinkedIn. She brings up those charitable acts in her conversation. She talks about how she's passionate for it. And when a discussion about a senior role comes up, that will definitely be a part of the conversation among her superiors. But this is not a bad thing. It is incredibly noble and even admirable to let our good actions speak for us. You ask what would we say to a child giving his food to a man who needs it more than he did? I will cheer on that child, I will applaud them, and I will see them as a good person. And that is what it does. It may not be the intention of that child, but it happens nevertheless. It does make you feel good about yourself, and therefore it allows yourself to portray yourself as good in society, while knowing that if anyone attempts to disprove that, you have empirical evidence that you have helped people, that you are a good person. This is not selfish, this is human. Back to female.
If you want to talk about the tribal donations, let's talk about it. Tirupati annually receives about over 1,200 crores of donations annually. But what about the tribal communities? They do not even receive proper donations for them to support the tribal families properly. And this shows that people donate to the mainstream industry so that they get into the limelight. Donating to the tribes is not even as much as limelight as donating to Tirupati does.
Big firms donate to selective causes and NGOs with tax-saving companies. And charity has become more about glamour than giving.
We're not saying a charity is bad. We're just saying that a charity is just about self-advertisement. Even though the child doesn't want to advertise it, but it becomes a self-advertisement. I agree with what N.C said. Doing this act gives him applause and appreciation, which makes him feel good about themselves. According to a report by University of Michigan, 42% of the Gen Z don't.
okay, so Team A mentioned why tribal people don't get enough donations. That is argumentatively flawed considering the fact that while the making of the constitution, the rights of the tribal people were protected. They have a reserved ratio and everywhere. They have preserved rights. That is why they do not get as many as donations because their rights are already protected. Moreover, you don't shame companies for advertising their new products. You don't shame influencers for flaunting their vacation. Yet, you shame people when they donate to the poor and they dare to post it. Why? Because it hurts your ego to see people doing something that you aren't doing. It makes it selfish and comfortable to see people are doing something that they are not doing. Charity can be a mode of self-advertisement, but it is not. Bill Gates, for example, he paid $50 billion to health and education. So if his face pops up in a hospital wing, that doesn't mean he's self-advertising it. It's a message to people to show how to use their money to help society.
We thank Team A for their graciousness, but we apologize to say this. You have completely missed our point. Even if one donates completely anonymously, you don't even tell the closest people you know that you have donated to charity, it is still a form of self-advertising. Why? Because it allows you the confidence to walk around the world knowing that you are a good person, knowing that you have helped other people, and that gives you the confidence to be viewed as a good person by others. That is how it is self-advertising. That is how all forms of charity, all forms of good acts, all virtuous acts, even under religions, are a form of self-advertising. Because they give you the confidence to know that you are virtuous. And we must remember, our statement is charity is a form of self-advertising. Not charity has always been a form of self-advertising. We are looking at the world we live in today, not the past. We can leave that behind. As for Bill Gates, he visited Jeffrey Epstein several times. He's listed on the flight logs. But he still gets to sit down with late night shows. He still gets interviewed and publicity and not all of the negative. Why? Because he does charity. Thank you, back to Team A.
Yeah, Bill Gates does donate, but it also increases his ESG scores and gives him a good name in the society. It is the main intention behind his missions. And according to 17th chapter, 21st verse in Bhagavad Gita, it says that if a person is donating with a fruit with an intention of fruit or holding any grudges, it is the charity is considered as an act of passion rather than an act of compassion.
member Bill Gates because his visibility is more than his virtue, right? And giving to poor people. We know that poor people come in headlines, their painful stories become storylines. Why? Because they're advertising their charitable work.
So my worthy opponent says that charity is a selfless act. Let me ask you all a question. When was the last time you heard that someone had donated without seeing it then being donated or without hearing that it was being donated? It is always all over the social media that you have donated so much. Please rest our case.
Okay, so Team C mentioned that a person who anonymously donates and still feels good about themselves is self-advertisement. Let's not forget the meaning of advertisement. It includes other people, not yourself. Moreover,
Now, if charity really was about self-advertisement, why do people do it when no one's around? As my father mentioned, advertisement is not about publicity. Okay, advertisement is about publicity. You tell other people what you've done, and then that gives you ego. But charity can be done on yourself.
now let's apply the logic put forth by teams A and C. If every act of charity is self-advertisement, let's see how it works in the real world. A child sharing his lunch, attention seeker. A blood donor, narcissistic. And a community fundraiser becomes desperate for attention. This is clearly argumentatively hollow.
With that, we'd like to rest our case. Honorable Chair, I have but one single thought to refute all that my opponents have said today against my argument. Even if a charitable act allows a man to do nothing else but sleep better at night, the world will take note of their lack of sunken eyes when they wake up in the morning. Thank you.
Roll number 4, please. Roll number 4, please.